Okay. All right. Welcome, everybody. This is the April 23rd, 2024 executive meeting of the NCAC. So I'll call the meeting to order at 7:02. Pretty, looks like what would be a pretty light agenda this evening. So, hopefully there's time for conversation, but hopefully it's not a super lengthy meeting. So conflict of interest question of officers and committee chairs. So this is a question as to whether any chair officers or chairs have conflicts regarding any agenda item or action item. I don't believe we have any action items on the agenda tonight, so I don't have any conflicts. And Chris?
No conflicts for me as well.
And Jeff?
No conflicts.
And Alex?
No conflicts here.
Okay, and Nancy?
No conflicts.
Okay, and I think that's it. Okay. Meeting minutes from March 27th. If there are any changes that anybody has to those meeting minutes, go ahead and speak up now. Otherwise, we can accept those. I move that we just accept. Oh, go ahead, Nancy. Did you?
I was just saying they look good to me.
Okay. So we'll accept those meeting minutes as they are. Thanks. Okay, bylaws committee check-in. So Nancy, this is you. I saw you emailed to Sarah.
Yeah, we're very pleased.
Evening, so go ahead.
The committee has submitted its packet to the county for their review and hopefully approval. And we hope you all will follow the link and look at it. It's we're pretty proud of it. And Jeff and I talked a little earlier today. It doesn't have anything substantive at all different from what we presented at the membership meeting. In fact, there's a lengthier version of the amendments, and there's no change to those at all. So there's a whole bunch of little tiny editorial little tweaks and stuff, but nothing substantive. So I think we're all pretty optimistic, and Sarah's been with us along the way. Unless there's some kind of a surprise that arises, I think it'll be good. So she did require a red line version, which manual, which ended up taking quite a bit of time, but it's there at the end. It's hard when you completely rewrite a document to go back to the original format and have something showing how we got to the current format, but it's in there. So and it was actually a valuable exercise, I think, after all. But at this point, she's telling us we should be able to get it back well in time before our next meeting on May 3rd, and which hopefully there will be nothing significant, but we'll deal with whatever comes along, and then we'll be ready to hopefully quickly turn it around and get it out to the membership with any noted changes. So Jeff is going to be doing an email blast sometime tomorrow and to let people know that this exists. And it's just one long string. So it's cover letter, statement from the committee, the proposed bylaws, that's a clean version, and then kind of a mapping. We thought it might be helpful to just show a mapping between the old format and the new format. And then the list of major amendments, and then the red line versions. So have at it, have fun, everybody. And I just want to thank all of you for your support along the way. I mean, it's been tremendous, and I know we've had lots and lots of discussions, and we've really tried very hard to be transparent, to listen to the members, and so we're very pleased, and thank you, and special thanks to Jeff, because he's been just a rock on all this communications, and technical support helps. So thank you.
Well, congrats. That's a huge milestone.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, we're feeling pretty darn good. It hasn't actually hit yet. So but thank you, Chris.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think that's all we have. Well, I guess the only other thing is we're going to be starting some on the policies and procedures, which we refer to a lot in the document that we don't have yet. So it's a new document. And so we have a list of things that we're tackling. Most of it will be done mostly next year, assuming we get reelected. Who knows? But we're going to try to do some of it this year, possibly to have for the June election meeting or the June annual meeting. But they're a lot easier to change than bylaws. The bylaws take precedence over the policies and procedures, but it gives kind of a procedure manual like we've talked about with more detail. So we're anticipating possibly that at each membership meeting going forward, we may have a section for policies and procedures to get approved, but it'll be a lot less formal.
Okay.
And since they don't have to be approved by the county, yeah.
Correct. That's what we think.
Yeah.
But it's a
Well,
new
yeah,
document,
right,
so they may
right.
come back and tell us that they do. But Sarah, I'm sure, will be involved along the way, and
Right.
she can decide.
I mean, it's just going to be like, this is when the meetings are. This is how you like decide. Like, this is what emails you send out. Like, so like that. I don't
think
think anything
so.
should have to be
Right.
approved.
There may be a little more description of how voting's done. He might
Yeah.
want to know about that, but it all has to be under the auspices of what's in the bylaws. So
I
we're
would argue
hoping we
that
don't have to.
anything that the county council thinks he has to approve, let's move that into the bylaws so that the policies
Yeah.
and procedures can remain light. And
I think you're right.
yeah,
I think you're right.
Yeah.
So, and Sarah may be that determining factor too.
Yeah.
So I guess that what I understand is it's really between Sarah and county council. I don't think the board of commissioners has to approve it from what I gather, even though Doug Olson has been attending a lot of the meetings.
Mhm.
I get the impression, but she is briefing them all. So there's
Yeah.
some relationship there.
Mhm. Okay.
And that's it.
all right. Woo.
Report.
Thanks, Nancy.
So we don't
Let's
have
see.
Rand. So
We don't
we're-
have Rand.
So
Okay.
maybe I'll just kind of like give like, since I think that I was the only one here who oh no, Nancy attended the meetings. So, and Mark, you attended one.
Yeah.
Alex,
Yeah.
Liz was there, but you were not there.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay. So maybe we can just do a quick debrief, but
Yeah. Sure.
what
Sure.
we think here, and
Sure.
then I will pass that on to Rand if there's anything that we want to pass on to Rand. I certainly thought, like, I was really surprised at how well attended those meetings were. I did not
Mhm.
I did not foresee the wave of like hunger for sitting in an in-person meeting from people who live in the village. So yeah, they went really well. They got a lot of good input. I think the committee is starting to get a little bit more direction. I'm a little worried that Rand is a little too eager right now and is scheduling too many meetings, and that he's going to kind of wear out the public in terms of their appetite for participating in meetings. But they're off to a good start. So.
Maybe that's a strategy.
Just wear them out and then write the community plan and like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was talking to Jeff just a little bit before the meeting started, and Chris was on too. And I attended the first one by Zoom, and I think Jeff said there might have been 5 people on Zoom at the first meeting, and I thought it went well. I didn't comment. I think somebody named Matt Gill had a few comments during that meeting.
Yeah, he's Lori's husband.
Okay. So Lori's husband, and good comments.
Yeah.
And in fact, all the discussion was good, but I'm just wondering, I guess we'll see, time will tell, but I'm wondering whether there will be involvement from people on Zoom at these meetings. And we'll just have to see as time goes on. You know, they're welcome to join, they're published, they're all those things, you know, they can
And
join.
I would say that if we continue to have kind of poor attendance on Zoom. And I don't know,
Yeah.
like, I don't know if that's just a lack of interest or if
Right,
people felt
right.
like I'm not going to bother to attend a hybrid meeting because it's not
Right.
really to attend on Zoom, but they didn't speak up about that.
Right,
But either way, we should probably schedule some Zoom only meetings.
And I think maybe it's
unless the hybrid format kind of settles in and people
Yep.
start showing up from out of town. Besides that, yeah.
I agree, and maybe it's a little bit of a conversation, a short conversation at the. Well, I guess we're not going to have a general meeting, just a normal general meeting until
Yeah.
June. So, but we'll just see how it goes. I'm kind of hoping that more people choose to join on Zoom, but we'll see. So, but I thought it went well. I could hear it, I could see it. I could see people talking when I was on Zoom at the first meeting. Yeah, I felt like I could comment. So I think it was really well run. I think Tom is running that. Tom is kind of doing a good job of it's hard to do. There's so many topics there.
Yeah.
And I think Jeff, you kind of also chime in a little bit about maybe herding things a little bit, which is kind of nice because the topics they go all over the place when you have these meetings. So, but I thought they were good. So,
Do you have anything to add, Nancy?
Yeah, I think it was really interesting. I felt like it was interesting seeing the people in the room. I think had a different feeling, a real camaraderie and informality in the meeting that you don't see as much on Zoom. And I think it was really beneficial to have the in-person meeting for some of these. At the same time, for people who, for me at least, sitting out in Zoom land, I felt like I was a little more apart than I would have been in a normal, typical Zoom meeting. It was a little, I did manage to speak up, but I do think if they have time to do it, if they're handouts for the in-person meeting, it would be good to have a handout posted for the Zoom attendees because we didn't have that. And the values were posted, but there were a number of times when people were referring to the handout and the dates and different things. And so that would just be a future kind of a thing. But I agree. I was really impressed with the caliber of the video equipment. I wasn't expecting anything like this panoramic view and different things. And thank you, Jeff, for resetting the camera even in the middle of it because we were kind of pointing toward the roof, the ceiling a little bit. But yeah, I think it was really interesting. That the other thing is, I think. Well, I think the second meeting was better than the first in terms of being able to, because I think Jeff, you were monitoring the chat a little bit more, and
it's hard to monitor the chat and look around the room. So I think in future meetings, I'm going to suggest that the person in charge of monitoring the chat be remote, like maybe Lynn can do it.
Oh,
okay. And then just speak up and say, that'd be a good idea. Yeah. Because I know that helped in our feedback sessions too, to have somebody just monitoring the chat and speaking up.
Yeah.
But no, it worked out better than I was thinking it would. It was, and definitely I bet the people in the meeting beforehand and after could kind of more socialize, and I could see how that would be.
And as like Harvey on Saturday noted, like we were passing it like Lainey brought scones and like they were like we're handing around trays of scones and he's like, hey, save the scone for us on Zoom.
Yeah.
So I think that tension of like it's not that, even though I think those went really well, it's not quite the same to be in the room as it is to be on Zoom. But clearly there was a lot of value for the people who were in the room, and some of those people don't come to Zoom meetings. So
and I was just going to say, I think a lot of the people that were there were people I'd seen in bylaws meetings, at least, in our feedback sessions, and it was just a different feeling. And when we're done with that, I do have one other bylaws committee thing to talk about that I forgot earlier. So
I did have a couple people approach who attended on Zoom and mentioned that it was hard to see who was talking if you were on Zoom when people were talking and making comments in the room in person, because the screen on Zoom of the whole room everyone was very tiny compared to,
Yeah.
you know, everyone having their separate screen on Zoom. So maybe we should encourage people to introduce themselves if they're not, you know, just say who's talking, because it's so much easier on Zoom to see who's talking than
Yeah.
if a small part of your screen is the entire room.
And maybe stand up and walk closer
That's
to
what
the
I was
owl
thinking.
so they can
Yeah.
get a good view of you. I think that's
Yeah.
a good
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
I think we should just have Rand watch the video of what our conversation.
Okay. Yeah.
I did also hear from Ran. He and Lainey are at a Passover Seder, so I don't think they're going to be joining.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Any other comments about that before we'll go back to Nancy on the bylaws then? Okay, Nancy.
So it just occurred to me that I think this is our last board meeting before the May 11th bylaws
Mhm.
adoption meeting, assuming county approves everything.
Yeah.
And so I think Michael and I would like to sit down with you, Mark, and anyone else who might be interested, but just to talk about handling the, you know, running the meeting for the bylaws, which is going to be quite a bit more formal, you know, using parliamentary procedures, based on the meeting that we had, the April general meeting that we had, where we didn't get a lot of pushback. I'm hoping it's just going to all go right through, but it may not, and we may have, you know, it could be that we'll get a lot of people there, and that we'll have some amendments and that kind of thing. So, and I know as a school board member, Mark, you're familiar with how you run a meeting, but if you would like, Michael and I had talked about if you would like us to work with you on how you wanted, like Michael, to support you, or a little bit more about what Robert's rules says about adopting a whole revision of a bylaws, because it's a little different than just a regular bylaws amendment. We're offering that up.
Okay, thank you.
I know that's what you want, is one
look.
more meeting, but
Yeah, I'll look at the calendar and I'll reach out to both you and Michael by email. And
okay,
I think it would be good to set up a time to do that.
okay, thank you.
Thanks.
And then what we plan to do is, I think Tom had volunteered to have any amendments that he would be able to display, he would do on the fly, right? And Jeff, you might like your backup on that if necessary, but because at any section, any article, people can make an amendment, and so that needs to actually, they need to put up the text and do a red line version showing the amendment, and then the membership discusses, and then we'll vote on that amendment. And then if the amendment's successful, it becomes part of the overall adoption motion.
Right.
So,
and I'd say I have a feeling this is going to be a 10-minute meeting, or maybe a 15.
I really hope so. I really hope so, but you know, you just never, you
I'm
don't
glad
know.
we have that
So-
on
I
tape.
think if someone was kind of like, I mean, maybe Roger, Roger might propose an amendment, but I'm going to guess he's not going to muster that much effort. But
Yeah,
Okay.
but you never know. So, you know, I would hope that if somebody were planning something that, you know, when we put this out to the membership after we get it back from county, I think we'd like to do what you suggested last time and ask people to get any
Yeah.
amendments to them, you know, by a
Yeah.
certain date, like
Yeah.
May 7th or something, or May 8th, so that we have some idea of what to expect.
we can ask.
That they still can make that from the floor. And then Sarah's going to be there, and she
Mhm.
can say, you know, sorry, you guys can vote for this, but county's going to say no. You know, which is kind of what we've been operating under on.
Yeah.
We have a very clear idea from the council and from Sarah what is going to fly and isn't going to fly. So
Yeah.
and so we wrote the bylaws accordingly. But they gave on a lot of things, so I've really been appreciative of the amount of effort she made working with council and the commissioners to accommodate the wishes of the members through the feedback sessions. There were actually quite a few changes that they had initially said no to.
Yeah.
But I hope you're right, Jeff. I hope it's a 10-minute meeting.
Yeah. That would be amazing. Okay, anything else, Nancy? Is that?
No, thank you.
Yeah, okay, all right. Let's see, steering committee, date of the next executive meeting is is the next item, so.
So my only thought there is that
Mhm.
we're going to be setting the date of the June meeting, which well maybe we can ask, does everyone still think that June 22nd is going to be the day?
Still works for me.
I think that still works.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It works for me. Could we just set it? So people have some warning?
Well, you seem to have like my opinion is that people are not scheduling their Saturdays in June around our meeting. So that
I
that
think
no,
some could, like bylaws committee members that may need to be there to, for the election or
well, you
whatever.
don't
I
even
think
need to be there. Like
No, you don't, but
Yeah.
I just think, if we know what it's gonna be, why not schedule it? Because then people can put it on the calendar. If it's that versus say going out shopping with a friend, they, it's not like they're gonna, it's gonna keep them from
what
something
do the
really
rest of us
important,
think?
but.
Like I personally, especially since I like my schedule in June is actually still as up in the air as it was before.
Okay.
Like I have sort of tentative plans that for the 8th, but I have not actually bought plane tickets. So
Okay.
but
Yeah.
yeah. But I think I can just say like I'm gonna make June 22nd free and will not schedule anything then. But if the rest of you want to just go ahead and commit to June 22nd, I'm on board with that. But I personally like things happen, and if like anything happens between now and next month that like knocks June 22nd out for someone, then we don't have to. Then we're not up a tree. We have the flexibility to like go to the 29th. So
Go
that's
to
my
the-
bias. I weigh that higher than the fact that we are going to announce later. But I hear Nancy's point. So
Yeah. Well, so you were going to say something though, Jeff. You were going to say if we for the next executive meeting,
I was just going to say that
we have it before the 22nd.
we should schedule it before
Yeah.
May 22nd so that we
Yeah,
can
right.
announce
Right.
a for June 22nd with a whole month of notice.
Right.
That's what I was going to say.
So I think we have said that publicly. I think that June 22nd might be the date for the June meeting.
Yeah, we announced that at the last general meeting. So.
Right. And I also think that things do come up sometimes. And so I actually would lean towards holding until the executive meeting in May and trying and announcing then. Because like Jeff said, if we announce now and something comes up for one of us, then we're kind of, I don't know, we're a little bit stuck. We're moving it from the 22nd to the 29th or some other date.
It's hard to change after you've already changed it once. So
yeah,
not impossible, but it's not a good look.
And I do believe that we did say the 22nd at some point, and so to folks who were sort of listening, that's probably in their mind the 22nd. But others,
Right now it's still on the calendar for the 8th, right? On the official calendar on the.
Well, like if you go look in June on the website, there's nothing because I don't actually put meetings on there more than like a month or so in advance, which I probably should, but that's one of those things that has just fallen off, like putting the meetings on the calendar far in advance. So
yeah. Alex, did you have
Mr. Alex, any thoughts?
Oh no, I'm content waiting as long as we give people a month in advance. I feel that's sufficient. I'm not sure how other people schedule their summers, so I'm just
Right.
speaking personally. But it makes sense to me to wait for all the aforementioned reasons.
So well, Chris, do you have anything?
Anything in regards to the June 22nd date?
Well,
Yeah.
anything in regards to whether we should just schedule June 22nd now so that we can announce earlier, or schedule or wait until May when we have less chance for something to screw up June 22nd.
So I will throw out one more thing, which is the
Okay.
bylaws will be approved on May 11th, hopefully, and that provides for the ability to change the meeting that you don't have right now. So I could wait too.
Yeah, I'm indifferent.
Okay.
Whether we announce it now or wait until May.
So May 21st is 4 weeks from today. It's a Tuesday. So we could do that. And then if anything has happened where we're not going to do June 22nd, let the other members of the board know ahead of time so that we can kind of have a heads up that we may not be doing, but otherwise I'll plan on June 22nd and then have the notice ready to go after we make an official decision on the 21st, if 21st works for people.
I'm going to be in Nesquin actually on the 21st for a very brief time.
Well,
But I guess I could make an hour. Yeah,
Mhm.
sure. I don't know if I'll have much internet, but yeah.
You can come over to my house.
Okay. All right. I may take you up on that.
Okay.
I can
And,
meet your cats.
Well, they'll probably hide, but we can try and lure them out.
Okay, that sounds good to me. The 21st, 7 o'clock.
Chris.
Yeah.
Okay, we will meet on May 21st at 7 p.m.
It's 7 p.m. That works. Let me add that to my calendar now.
Great.
Okay. Public comment, no public, I think
No
that's
public
it. Is there
comment.
anything else from anybody for the good
Well,
of
let
the
me
order
just
before we wrap up?
Ask
Go ahead.
one other question.
Yeah,
So the bylaws committee is being reelected. We haven't really specified anything with the community plan committee because they're not in the bylaws. They're kind of going into policies and procedures at some point, but do they need to be, I mean, they were just elected, so they probably don't need to be reelected in June, right?
I mean, the current bylaws leave that very ambiguous, and maybe we need to tighten that up after the new bylaws come into effect.
I think it's one of
when
those transition issues probably, but yeah.
So, because we have like I think the assumption that everyone's operating under is they're going to be in effect till the community plan is completed. So. But the new bylaws call for like a document, like some sort of establishing something for committees. Is that right?
So
Maybe we should
I think it's going to be mainly in the policies and procedures, and it just says
Okay.
that subcommittee members will be elected, and there are some procedures involving that, but it doesn't specify, and they're to be elected at the June annual meeting. But this is one of those transition year kinds of things, so I don't think normally a standing subcommittee, well, this may not be standing, so
yeah, they're not.
we'll flesh that out in the policies and procedures.
And if we need to retroactively give them kind of a this is when you refresh, this is how you refresh your members or whatever, we can do that, but let's save that for later.
So that election was that September,
October? Let's see.
August? It's October.
Let's see. So our first meeting was August, and then October. Wait, is that right? Or I think it was.
I think it
I think it
is.
was
Yeah.
December even.
No, I think it
December.
I
was.
think it was October.
I do think it was October. So I do think we'll probably want to address that prior to October because they'll be coming up on a year, whichever
Yeah.
way we're going to go. So. Okay. Anything else before we close the meeting? This is a pretty short meeting. This, I
Yeah,
don't
record
think I've ever
time.
seen a 31-minute meeting. So it's pretty amazing. So, okay, everybody. Well, thank you very much. And let's see, we'll see you in the next meeting.
Yes.
We have a number of them coming up. So
Yeah.
we'll see you in the next meeting.
All right,
Okay.
sounds good.
All right. All
Thank
right.
you all.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.